I'm Rob Licuria, senior editor at God Derby, here with multi-platinum recording artist, vocalist, actress, producer Miley Cyrus, who produces and hosts the NBC special Miley's New Year's Eve Party. Miley, this special is a star-studded lineup of special guests, musical performances hosted by you and Pete Davidson. I think it's beautifully slick, seamless, or it comes across quite seamless. It's fun, it's cool, it's irreverent. How proud are you of what you achieved with this special?
Well, you just paid us the highest compliment of saying that it looks seamless, because the day of and the day leading up to it, I was so happy that Lauren and Pete, who are used to improvising and putting together a whole show within 5-6 days, were there to support me, because this is kind of what we did also, because we had a vision, and for months we had been dreaming of what this show was going to be and what it was going to look like. But we all knew that there was an elephant that is COVID that we've been dealing with for 2 years, that we've been going in these waves and these cycles of times where it feels like we're going to get back to normal, times where it feels like we may never get back to normal. And as we got closer to New Year's and there was the holiday surges, everything changed. We went from having, thousands of fans, super large scale audience, not just friends and family members, but other guests as well, and like talent as guests, and all of that with traveling plans. And we changed locations. We improvised in every way, down to location, to the musical acts. And again, just having Lauren and Pete there to support me, I don't know if the show would have been able to have what you just mentioned, which was kind of this sleek grace to it. And it felt like we had done it before, and we never have. Even what the show looked like from the dress rehearsal was different, because everything was changing by the second.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Honestly, Miley, I had to look it up. I'm like, how many times have they done this? This must be like the 10th version. Nope, first one.
We'd never done it before.
Amazing. It really is. It opens with you and Pete performing your own spin on the classic party anthem, Welcome to Miami. There's an irreverence and playfulness in the style that you and Pete bring to a staple in live television, the New Year's Eve special. Were you conscious of trying something different, a little bit more intimate, and making us laugh as well as making us sing and dance?
Absolutely, because I think New Year's, for as long as all of us remember, has been kind of about people freezing in the middle of New York. And this was a non-negotiable for me, because I really don't like to be cold. So basically everyone had to come to Miami because I didn't want to be cold. And I played in the middle of Times Square a lot, where for the audience, it's not as fun as it possibly could be, because it's really crowded. You never actually get to see the artists that you're there to see. Usually they're up on some sky rise that you actually can't see them, and you're freezing. And because I played it, that's been one of the greatest things about being able to learn through experience, because I do think one bit of leverage that I have on any other producer to put together a live show, especially with music and sketches, is that I have done them before as the artist itself. And so that's a whole different experience, because the way that I wanted to be able to tell Saweetie or Anita or 24 Karat Golden that this would be a great show and would be fun, is because it actually would be. And that was really important, that it felt like I know these people want to have a good time on New Year's. And we made it where it wasn't just for the TV that it looked like we were having a good time, but it actually was a really great time. And these were all people that I've had, long time relationships and friendships with. So it all felt very genuine. But again, just from being able to have the experience of not only doing SNL, so being used to doing the kind of improv and putting together a whole show within a very short amount of time, but also have played New Year's so many years in a row, I kind of knew what was broken and how we could fix it.
Wow, that's so fascinating, because it really does come across that way. It comes across authentically, because I've seen plenty of New Year's Eve specials that are fine, but they're just they're so clunky. This one really did come across as super fun and really seamless, which is huge given the pandemic and everything else that you're dealing with. So that brings me to this. You what do you bring to the table as a production partner, other than headlining the special, and being its host and star, and bringing in, you know, colleagues and people that you know from your other work? What do you bring to the table as a producer?
I would say one of, I guess, my favorite elements of just live performance is getting to cover songs. And it's been a real staple in my career now. And songs that I've covered have almost become my own, especially because my fans are from a different generation, a lot of the songs that I cover. So there's songs that I'm introducing them to in my own way, but also they're doing their research after. So putting a set list together with, I thought, kind of, we wanted it not to be a show that everyone just came and performed their new single and it was songs that the audience at home couldn't sing along to. We wanted it to be the most sophisticated version of New Year's karaoke, which was essentially why we had Brandy Carlisle not only sing with me on The Climb, but she did Total Eclipse of the Heart. We made it really where it felt like we were not just there to promote or advertise ourselves, because that's really not what the New Year's show is about. And it's not fun to watch a music show where not all the music is known, and you want to sing along. You want people at home drinking, watching the TV, singing along. And so we asked artists to do their biggest hits and then also perform covers. So I guess creating the set list was probably one of my favorites. And again, the aesthetic of the show was driven, again, kind of by me and Lauren. I think him bringing his sophistication and me being able to do it in a way that was very energetic. And I thought that the lights were able to kind of tell the story of the songs as they would pulse to the beat, and they would give a certain energy that even though we weren't surrounded by thousands of people at a big concert as we expected to be, it still felt that way. But at the same time, not trying to create something that didn't exist, we allowed ourselves to lean into the intimacy of the amount of audience that we did have.
Yeah, I loved that. You know, we were treated to a live performance with you and Noah, your sister. And when I realized you were going to sing Jolene, like, honestly, one of my mottos in life is Dolly Parton always makes things better. And that is a killer song. I know it's on your live album, Attention. Can you recall the moment when you and Noah were back up on stage, really for the first time for television, singing that classic? What was going through your mind?
Well, I don't know why I didn't think about it before. We came up with the idea at Family Christmas, and I realized we were doing the show, and I realized that Noah wasn't really going to be a part of it yet, which didn't make any sense. And anytime that I get to perform with one that's family, because we kind of have this telepathic way of being able to harmonize with each other, because we've also been doing it our whole lives. And so it felt like something that was just a no-brainer. And I think, again, so many people that are watching the show from home are going to be celebrating with their family. And again, it's like not only us relating to each other, but relating to them also. And I think it's just a moment that makes me really proud of my sister, because it just takes a lot of guts to do this show. It takes a lot of guts to do shows like SNL or to do the New Year's Eve show, because it's, again, anything really can happen. And you really have to expect the unexpected. And we learned that more than you could imagine the night before. And so she was really able to roll with the punches. And I just think it's, you kind of have to respect anyone that is willing to take the risk to perform live on the scale that this show is.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with live TV, you've got no safety net, nowhere to hide, and you have to be super agile. And on that note, I wonder, the days leading up, what's the thing that keeps you up at night as the producer, knowing that you've got this huge undertaking? If it goes wrong, it's gonna look really bad. So were you losing sleep? Were you relaxed? How did you feel?
I think one thing I've learned from Lauren is it doesn't help anyone to panic.
Yeah.
And, I think being able to stay calm, and I actually over Christmas was reading, obviously dealing with COVID and living through a pandemic is something that no one really can prepare for or expect. But there have been in history other pivotal moments like this for people where they experience, this worldwide trauma, because that's something that's rare, but it happens where the whole world mourns together at once, and we're all experiencing it at once in the same way. And so that was one thing that I guess just kind of having Lorne there, and he was reminding me of, through all the years of him doing, live TV of events that have happened that have made it seem like the show might not go on this time, in ways that they've been able to not just look at the problems, but just find those solutions. And I think I just tried to stay solution focused. And right before the show, I mean, it was pretty wild because we were having positives. We were seeing, again, we also want to be responsible. So we saw that all over the country there was surging and spiking, and we didn't want to promote having a New Year's Eve party. But not everyone's having the New Year's Eve party in the safe environment that we were, where everybody was masked up. We were all tested beyond belief. The audience was all, in any way that we could, we took all the proper precautions. And so again, as that started happening, I was like, well, I'm still okay. So no matter what, the show is going to go on. And that was just, again, I think it's easy to marry an idea that you have of this is what the show is going to be and it's what it's going to look like. And that's not the way shows work. And it's not the way life works, as we've all learned the hard way. You have to be able to be flexible. And so I guess it was just a real exercise at flexibility.
It's probably a really great thing for you as well, just as you develop as an artist, throughout your career. This is something that, I mean, you've done SNL, and you've obviously proven your chops as as a comedic performer. But to bring something like this to life is hard enough. To bring it to life in a pandemic, I just can't imagine how you were able to do it. Obviously, you get to lean on someone like Lorne Michaels, legendary SNL creator, your director Joe DeMeo. You had a number of producing talent working with you and your sister under your Hopetown Entertainment banner. So I guess the question, well, not the question, I've just figured out that you're coming back at the end of this year. So it must have been okay if you don't want to give this another go, right?
Yes, I think that, one, the show ended up being something we're all really proud of. And if it can happen under those circumstances, I couldn't imagine. We didn't really have the idea of doing a New Year's special until pretty late in the year. And so now we've started already having conversations, me and Lauren, just starting to talk about whether it's guests and talent or ways that we could be better next time. And we've already kind of started a pre-production. So we'll be so much more prepared. And again, Lauren's used to doing shows in 5 days, so I don't worry. And it was just, again, I wanted to do it, I guess, this year, and whichever year the opportunity presents itself, because it's something, again, I got to debut a new song, which I haven't even released, and it hadn't been released. It had just been written, and it felt like a way to give this gift to the people that are watching at home that have been responsible for creating this career that I've had and this life that I've had. And again, I think even though it's a large scale show, it's also still very intimate. And by doing a song that I haven't done before, and we weren't doing where you do the song and it was for promotion. I haven't ever released it. So it feels, like I thought the show felt very pure and honest, and it felt like it had really good intentions. And I think that really shined through the show. And I think moments like that in the show are what we want to create as new traditions, whether it's doing music that no one's heard, or, these kind of one-off comedy bits of getting to almost get to go see like a Pete stand-up show, but you get to be right there, like even whether you're in Miami or not. It felt intimate. So it's just exciting to think of all the possibilities that we can do in years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's super exciting. I was reminded about how many of your classics we've all listened to and enjoyed on nights like New Year's Eve, and the "We Won't Stop" rendition was so uplifting after the countdown. I think that was probably my favorite, because that song means a lot to me personally, my family. We listen to that in moments like that, and I think it had more resonance, obviously, given the last 2 years that we've all been through.
Oh yeah, with what was going on that day, it really felt like it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it did. Did you have a particular favorite performance that night?
I loved performing with Noah. I really loved doing The Climb and The Story with Brandi Carlile.
Oh yeah,
she's someone that I've always really looked up to, and that song, The Story, has been really impactful to me in my life. And it was kind of surreal getting to sing it with her, and also the way that the medley of the climb and the story. I wouldn't have ever thought it before, but they made so much sense as they kind of puzzle pieced together, and they fit seamlessly again. So that was maybe one of my favorites.
Yeah, and of course also the Pete Davidson skits that you do together are really good. I mean, it just felt like I was watching a really nice, slick version of SNL. That is, people maybe forget that you have some killer comic timing. Like, you're actually very good at comedy, and I wonder, is that something that you'd like to do more of? You've hosted SNL a few times, but would you like to do more live comedy in future, perhaps one day?
Well, it's a good thing that I'm friends with Lauren Michaels, because it seems like if I ever want to do that, it seems like I can do it with the best, because the way that Lauren does comedy in a very classic, and he just pushes the limits enough. And it's also, again, very honest, but there's ways there is a surrealism to it also. And I think the dimension and, again, the sophistication of what he added to New Year's is something that if I ever saw myself doing comedy, it would either be with Lauren or Lauren approved. I like to just kind of use that. You've got your Dolly motto. Mine is just Lauren approved, because even if it's something he's a part of or not a part of, that there's going to be something that's classic and timeless and something that lasts, because SNL is proof that he knows how to create something that will last. And think about, through the years of SNL, how much the times have really changed, and SNL really hasn't, but in a way it has evolved. And it's amazing that something can stay in a structure that has been able to fit all these different eras and all these different generations and all this different kind of talent. Because one of the last times, I guess it was the last time I was on SNL, the host was Elon Musk. Who do you know that has a comedy improv, like, live show on Saturday night that's hosted by Elon Musk? Like, no one else. And again, for it to be, I guess it was the 40th, I think I did the 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And, he had the guests in the audience that was, cast and talent that had been doing it from the beginning, whether it's his friend Paul Simon or it's me. His friends, they really, they really encompass, I guess, and embody what the show really is. And it's kind of amazing, the pairings that he'll do. I just watched the other night where it's Selena Gomez and Post Malone. And it's just amazing of the way that he pairs people together. He has a real gift at that. And him putting me and Pete together, which it was his idea, I really think worked out. It was really genius.
Yeah, I know. He's a total classic. And I'm so glad that you've got this Lauren Michaels approved motto now, because I just think the way that the two of you seem to work together, it just comes off so beautifully. Final question. You are so well known for your distinctive voice, and that you cross so many genres and styles as an artist. You've proven yourself as a live performer, comedian even. Is there anything that you haven't tackled yet, given that you've got Attention Out? Plastic Hearts was a huge critical success as well as commercial. What else do you want to do that you probably haven't done yet?
I'm really looking forward to, I guess, look at my career in these chapters. And, chapter one kind of starts with being 12 years old and moving to LA and starting a TV show. And I had no idea what that meant. I did not know that meant sitting here I'll be 30 by the time that we're at the New Year's show this year. And I never knew the kind of commitment that I was making at 12 years old to be the artist now. And it's been a very unique experience, I think, for me being in it and for those watching, because again, it's kind of one reason why I've leaned on Dolly so much. She's the person that I know that's the closest to me, that's shared that same evolution. But one thing about Dolly is she's kind of always been Dolly. She's always been her. And what being me has meant has been so many different things. Not whether sometimes it's physically, it might be the genre that I'm choosing, the music, my decisions. And so I guess in the next 10 years, I think being more, more forgiving of myself, and knowing that I've been in a unique position that not all of my peers have been known by the audience for the scale, and they're not as invested in every breath that artist may take, because they feel like we're family. They feel like they really know me. And I think one of my goals for this next record, and just for the rest of this kind of experience of my career in general, is to not feel held responsible by the idea of me that someone else has of me. because I think that that's something that's kind of kept me trapped creatively before, where it's a lot about what someone expects. And I feel that in a way you can almost characterize yourself, which in a way can work, like Dolly. And I think there is something of being aware of who you are and kind of the idea of who you are, but also making sure that with everything that I do, I'm very clear about who I really am and where I'm really at, and not being afraid that by getting older or by growing further away from something or someone I've been at a time means that that's a negative thing. I think whoever's going to come with me is going to come along for the ride, and I'll be grateful for that. And whoever you lose, it's, I think, to be able to feel fulfilled by what you're doing is actually the key to being able to do it for a long time.
Absolutely. The key for you is authenticity, and it came through on the New Year's Eve special. Thanks so much, Miley. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to clinking a glass of champagne in a few months' time.
Thanks.
Special too.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.